Welcome to the 30K Theoretical Part 1. We're going to be exploring different console types that are underused and underrated. We're also going to be exploring unit types that are also underused and underrated. This is going to be an ongoing series where we share tactics and tips on how to get the most out of your console types and unit types in the game of 30K. As things update with new rules and HH 2.0 is on the horizon, we'll also be adapting our tactics and talking. For now, buckle up and get ready. If you do hear the term objective secured mentioned a couple times, just ignore that. Someone was sipping a little bit too much 40K Kool-Aid, if you get what I mean.
Welcome to Trident Wargaming, a podcast dedicated to all aspects of tabletop wargaming. Your hosts are Bill and Andy.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Trident Wargaming. This is episode 34. We're talking about that sweet Heresy hoedown, and we're going to be talking about some underused and underrated units. First things first, if you're tuning in for the first time, welcome, and my name is Bill, and I'm joined with my co-host Andy.
Yo yo!
And we're also joined with two of our special guests, our brothers of war here. We've got Dan.
Hey.
And we've got Alex.
He called us special.
That's right. Yes. So I guess just a quick kind of round table. What's new on the hobby front, guys? What have you guys been working on in the last little bit? I know it's been a little while since you were on. We can start with Dan. What have you been doing new hobby-wise?
I've just been focusing a lot on Titanicus right now. There's been just going crazy trying to get things built and painted because I want to start, exploring into that endeavor and getting games going. And because I hate that it's the fact that it's the game everyone owns but nobody plays.
Yes.
It irks the crap out of me, and I've been trying to push everybody to try and get it going. And so I've been trying to get my stuff painted just so that I could be like, hey, I got everything painted. Let's get going, guys.
Gotta set a date. Let's do it. Yeah.
Well, we do have one tentatively, I believe.
Yeah.
The 19th, we should be throwing down and firing up some reactors and knocking the rest off, so it should be pretty good.
I'm worried that it's going to be like it's the best game that no one's played, and then we all play it. We're all just disappointed by it.
Oh, God.
Man, I don't know what I'm going to do with these 16 Titans now.
Yeah. Oh.
Everything else gets shelved instead. Eh?
Yeah.
You guys play any other games? No, Titanicus.
Titanicus only. I sold off all my other stuff.
Well, that's what I heard. Lots of people that say they played it love it.
Yeah.
So I've never heard anyone go, oh, this is the most garbage game I've ever seen in my life. Usually people go, oh, it's super fun because there's so much randomness to this. But I guess we're not talking about this on this podcast.
No, I guess that's for another time.
Manipul Wargaming.
Yeah.
Yes. And yourself, Alex? How about you? What's been new on your hobby front?
I would like to successfully report that I have finished all 3,750 points of my Blood Angels.
Whoa!
Nice.
Awesome.
Very all cool. Big projects, I am now in my period of depression and relaxation, where I refuse to start another project.
I feel it.
Don't worry, give it a couple months.
Like a male seal that just spent his yeah, I'm not going to get into that, but he's done for the day, and he's now rested up on the beach, relaxing, doing nothing.
Awesome. Very awesome. Yeah, if you've tuned in on the Instagram at all, you would have seen some of the pictures when we had our some pictures of the games that we were doing there, practicing for LVO. We had pictures of his pretty legit looking Blood Angels. So I think there were some pictures of them taking on my word bearers, if memory serves me correctly. Yeah. So it's pretty good. And yourself, Andy, how about you? What's been new on the hobby front?
The usual, and a little bit of everything, but Starting to put some Goliath gangers together. So that's going to start up here fairly soon. Just got to get them assembled. And then continuing working on some of the White Scars. Some 20 or so infantry right now. Just trying to get them to a point where I can start adding the details and colors to them. They're base colors on right now, the white. But yeah, I just had a whole bunch of other projects and everything else just kind of surrounding me and, telling me get on it.
What he's saying is they're primed. You got them primed.
No, they're not primed. I do not use white primer. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. Just a mix of everything, really. So,
I feel it.
Hopefully, well, we're doing our painting challenges again.
Yeah.
Still starting all that up again, so that should get me back on track, and yeah, go from there.
Yeah.
If you get Titanicus models, I'll win that for sure.
Doesn't count if you're 75% done, Dan.
Oh, you bastard!
Yeah, I feel it.
And you, Bill?
I've been tinkering with a few different things. I'm kind of getting a few battle mechs ready for the weekend here. As you know, we've got some trials of possession going down later. I finished
trial refusal.
Refusal, yeah. I ended up finishing off that other word bearer saber tank, so the twins are done, which is nice. Gets that kind of out of my hair, and yeah, just talking about the paint pledge, it's going to be kind of rolling into bolt action for me. I'm pledging the whole American force, so it'll be go time, show time. A lot of gung ho, trying to really push myself to get stuff done, emulate Alex here, and be a hobby hero, because the guy has seriously put in some work and it's paid off quite well. So yeah,
that it has.
Little shout out there, gold star. So and not to eclipse Dan. Dan has been an honorable princeps. He's been starting to work on his Titanicus, like he mentioned, and it's been pretty good. And he has been a driving force for trying to get games, so that is nice. That is nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So today's episode, we're pretty much going to be going over some units, mainly some of the consuls. That is,
yeah,
in the Horus Heresy. That's right. Correct, Bill.
Yep.
So kind of a few of them that you don't really see too often, or that we don't see too often, and each of us have kind of our own little thing with them. So we'll have a pretty good conversation with that, and also going over, I guess, a unit or two, same kind of thing.
Yeah, the underappreciated, underrated, underused units. So I think it'll be pretty sweet. I guess kicking in for that first choice that we were talking about is the Herald. That dirty old Herald, Realistically, I have not really ran into the Herald too often. As a just straight up generic Herald. Not counting your special character there, Monty.
Mm-hmm. He's a different thing. He's a special character, so not go there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Herald, first off, he's 40 extra points, right?
Yes, he is.
So, really compared to other consoles, probably on the high end.
Yeah, he's not cheap, that's for sure.
There are some that are 45 points, but yeah, he's definitely on the high end. I know I've used them a few times. And it's usually those games where I'm not taking special character, period. Right? Yeah. So, What about you guys? Have you guys really come across them? Except maybe you were playing me and I was using it, but all the games in LVO and all the random games that we've had in the past and whatnot. Have you guys come across them very often at all?
I have not run into a Herald yet. I gotta admit that.
Me either. I haven't, other than your character, Andy, I haven't actually seen one.
Right. Okay, so his war gear, I mean, ultimately there's 3 banners that he can select depending on what side he's on, right? Loyalist, Traitor, and even the Black Shields. So I'm just going to quote what they actually do. So the banner of the Aquila, pretty much for Loyalists, within 12 inches, they'll get a +1 to their weapon skill characteristic. So this is the one I pretty much use because I play Loyalists and only Loyalists.
Missing out.
Come to the dark side, Andy.
That's right.
Soon. I think it's pretty good. I tend to put him close or put him with a command squad or not command squad, but my Caesarian for my Ultramarines, just to give them that extra boost. They're good with Terminators, right? Now you're hitting a bit better.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good bubble. 12 inches is a good size bubble.
Mm-hmm.
What's the Trader banner do?
The Banner of the Eye pretty much is 12 inches as well, and it gives +1 inch to the charge and run distances, and may re-roll the hit rolls of 1 in an assault on any turn in which they have successfully charged.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah, for sure it is.
That sucks.
Well, it is what it is. I mean, they couldn't have been the same, right? So, but I think it was LVO. I was playing against a word bearer player. I think he had some other caster of a different name. I can't remember what he was. But I was telling him, you should really check out the Herald, right? To go along with his other units to amplify them. And it blew his mind away just because of that banner, right? So, I don't know. You guys are the traders, except, well, not Alex. Alex plays all the ways to you, except for his mechanical. But
it's definitely good. It has a good utility for it. Like, it's essentially your kind of like a lesser chaplain that's giving also a charge bonus. You know, instead of having hatred for all your dice, you get to reroll 1, so it's like a preferred enemy, which is nice. Added little bonus for sure. Also having it, as a 12-inch bubble, it's decent. I haven't used it myself too much at all. I know I tried it once a long time ago with my Space Wolves, and that was about it. It was a one and done for me, but...
Is that with Pale Hunters?
Yeah, it was. Trying to max it out, right?
Well, what he does is he's just a utility consul, right? He doesn't. The problem is he's not fighty because he doesn't get anything different than any other consul. And so the bubble, weapon skill +1 weapon skill to a max of 5 is bigger than you think. It could help those specialty units that have weapon skill 4, and you're trying to use them as, a Death Star against other Death Star units that might have a higher weapon skill than you, that usually are around weapon skill 5. Like taking the Gorgon Terminators who are weapon skill 4 and making them weapon skill 5, so they're actually fighting at the same, they're rolling the same dice as the other guys. So, it's good for that, or taking, having 2 big giant blob squads, like, of just tactical Marines running up that are weapon skill 5. Now they're hitting way better. So the Loyalists, you have to use it I think, in mass. So if you have like a whole bunch of squads stuck together, so you know, a 20-man tactical squad, 20-man tactical squad, Terminators all in one bubble, they're all hitting on weapon skill 5, potentially hitting better than most units on the table, while your traders with the +1 charge and the hitting, you're probably running them into one single Death Star, and you're using them for, you know, the Justarian Terminators or the Gore Velbach, which are already, you know, weapon skill 5 anyways. But now you're giving them a chance of getting a better charge, and then they're re-rolling the +1s.
Rerolling ones,
yeah. So I mean, it just makes them better that way. Plus, you know, his banner does make him fearless, which helps a lot. He's fearless in the unit he joins, but there's a great combo that I've been trying to think of if I were to actually use one. And what it is if you go to the command traits, if you make him your warlord, if you go to the command traits, they all have a 12-inch bubble. I got the book open right now. So you get, like, for example, if you roll on the chart and you get Master Vanguard, your warlord and all friendly units add +1 to the charge distance. Would that not make it +2 to the charge distance if you're trader?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Or, you know, target priority, where your warlord and all friendly units within 12 have a reroll to hits and shooting. So you could have this overlapping layer of utility, and I think that's where he could become good, is taking him and making like your warlord and taking, you know, rolling on the command trait. And since he's a master of the Legion, he can roll 2 dice.
Yeah. And he has to be your commander, does he not? Think
No.
write a command.
No. The problem is he's a support character. I think this is his biggest flaw. He's a support character, so he can't just be your one and done character. He also has fallen honor, and if he dies, he gives up 1 victory point.
Yeah.
Beat me to it. That's the biggest issue for me.
Yeah.
So the other thing that I think we're missing here too, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, is that he also gains objective secured on any unit he joins, right? So like you're gonna want to put him on objectives either defensively or offensively. Obviously offensively for traders, defensively for loyalists. But by putting him in that situation, you're putting him constantly in a line of fire where you're always at risk of losing a VP. So the VP that you potentially gain for putting him in there could be lost just by losing the unit, which is a pretty rough downside.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's probably why he's not brought a lot, is because people don't want to give up free victory points. Because how many games have you lost where it literally was by 1 point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, like, and it's weird because, like, I'm actually reading his right of command, and it's saying that he always has to be the army's warlord.
Yeah.
But then he's a Legion support officer, and that just says he can't be used as a compulsory HQ choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you'll have to take another
A
one as
consul
the tax.
or-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're taking a Centurion or something, anyways, to
So
negate it.
So yeah, and like you guys are saying, you know, he dies, fallen honor. There's a victory point there, right?
And
Now-
so the warlord.
He's a warlord. There's another victory point there. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I don't want to poo-poo the whole idea here, because I think there's some good plays there. You know, obviously, Dan with the 3D chess here on the warlord traits is a good idea. But you know, just from a, you know, if you are a loyalist sitting on objective secured, I think really the Herald plays into maybe more of a Mournival event style or a narrative style game where you're
Centurion.
scoring
Yeah.
points actively. and that objective secured trait, giving it to a unit of Terminators that can actually sit on an objective or defend an objective or take an objective aggressively. He's giving them, offensive, defensive bonuses depending on the faction you're playing, and he's allowing them to steal objectives off of, tactical squads or something like that just by their presence alone. So, I think there's some good play there. I have a real hard time getting over the downside of the lost VP for taking him.
Well, definitely fair,
Joe.
for sure.
But he, and we also have the Dark Banner for the Black Shields, which nobody really plays here locally.
Not really, no.
Not that
No.
I've come across. So for them, they pretty much within 12 inches as well. They have the Fear special rule, and they also add +1 to their leadership character.
Nah.
Yeah. Bam, bam, bam.
Coming from an army that has all fear all the time, that's not really that great.
So, what can you say? Sure, it could be used. It could be used good if you're going against militia, that kind of thing, right? But the chances you're always going to be fighting militia, every game, it's not going to happen. So
Part of the problem is, and this is the same thing with Night Lords, is like 1/3 of the legions ignore fear or have something against, rolling against it, fear. So fear's not that huge game breaking thing in
it's not.
30K.
And currently, anyways,
Currently.
hopefully Heresy 2.0 will maybe change
Fix
that.
that.
Yeah, it would be nice to see some of those mechanics actually come in and have these legions that are renowned for literally sowing terror into the hearts of mortals and fellow legionaries alike, kind of being a little more prevalent.
Yeah, I think one of the issues there, and they did pick up on it more towards the end of, I guess, 6th and 7th, and obviously 8th and 9th here with 40K is modifiers on stuff like this, and AOS is big on this for leadership modifiers, where, if you're going to play Night Lords or even Sons of Horus to an extent, having a -1, -2, or -3 modifier on a leadership test is huge. It's a big issue. Suddenly losing a leadership test means you're always running and you're always getting chased, and then adding putting in modifiers to that with either a consul or some other that gives you +1 initiative, so that when you're rolling those initiative checks you're always winning them, then you're just running over units and it becomes very useful. But it just that mechanic just doesn't really exist in Heresy in its current edition.
Yeah.
Well, the closest thing to that is Conrad, but if you ignore fear, then it's useless, right? So
yeah, Conrad runs into a fearless anythings, and is just suddenly his whole gimmick is out the window.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
It's like when the Scooby Doo and the kids unmask the ghost at the end. It's just a sad man.
Yeah, some bitter old man. Awesome.
But I definitely agree that a Herald is a double-edged sword, right? He's got his utility. He's got, the potential to be great. But it's just these underlining, disappointments of, giving up victory points, and him being a support character, I think what really hinders him. And I think that's probably the main reason most people don't run him.
Maybe a theme here for these, just quickly, is what would you fix if you could fix this character in a way?
Ooh.
I like that. Yeah, how could you make it better? What could you do?
Well, I kind of like the Fallen Honor thing. Like, if you read the stories, they literally emphasize on how the banner is like this huge thing. Like, the Emperor's Children guy was holding it the whole time, and then Fulgrim had it, and then Ventanus had it throughout the whole thing. He was killing word bearers with it, right? Like,
it goes back to literally the Roman legionnaires, right? Like the standard was their sacred icon, right? So I mean, they've portrayed it here in the game with this kind of thing, right? So as for like, what would you kind of change or fix? probably change maybe what some of the banners might actually do to make them a little bit more par on with each other. Because obviously you can see that the trader one is actually pretty good compared to the rest of them.
You know what would be a fun mechanic to kind of fix that would be, instead of having all three banners, like one for loyalists, one for traders, one for black shields, do separate things, why not give the option where you could pick one of the three, depending on how you're going to use it?
Yeah, or even just saying he can pick from the command trait, because there's 6 here, right?
Yep.
And they all kind of do similar things to that one.
Yep, that wouldn't be bad either.
Other, option for massive amounts of fluff there is to actually give each one a Legion banner, so that doubles down on the Legion characteristics. So maybe like +1 strength for Blood Angels, +1 inish for Emperor's Children, +1 toughness for Salamanders and stuff like that.
Yeah,
just a
there
big
you
list.
go.
Yeah.
He's thinking above and beyond.
Yeah.
Would you take out the support officer?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I want him on a bike. Can I have him on a jet bike with the banner?
Yeah, that's weird that he can't get on a bike. I know
no jump pack, no bike, no Terminator.
No Terminator armor.
They FAQ'd him. He's in the FAQ. They gave him Terminator armor, and that's it. But I understand why he can't be on a bike or jetpack, because
Dad?
you have this 12-inch bubble jumping around, giving giving bonuses to everybody. You'd literally just fly him around. These unit need help over here. I'm just gonna jump over here.
You know what? That might be it. Yeah, that could be.
It's called versatility, damn it.
Then he has utility. That's what his job is.
Because you put him on a jet bike and he's moving around 36 inches a turn. Because he doesn't even need the. You can run and he still gives the bonus, right?
Maybe the
turbo
Scars
boost.
Get that.
Yeah.
Maybe he just gets the standard banner for the Scars, but gets access to a jet bike.
Yeah, it's true.
So you get weapon skill 5, but you get access to a jet bike instead. Just like there's with all the character and upgrade character rules here in Horus Heresy, I think there was a lot of room for extra fluff there, or really flavorful rules that just didn't make it to print, unfortunately.
Fair enough.
Also, I would get rid of the negative VP. I just think like that as a general rule on all units is terrible. Because most of these HQs you are taking as a tax in some form, typically. Like, consuls were invented originally as a tax. Buy a consul, get access to a right. And so, you're already paying a tax, and then you also have to pay a negative VP tax potentially. And Heresy is a game where units get wiped out constantly. Like, very rarely do you finish a game with more than 50% of your army. Unless you're playing Andy. And your units are going to die. And so having that tax where you're always trying to protect a unit that is, you want to give buffs, you want to use it, but at the same time you're always like, I can't use it because it's going to cost me the game potentially. That's a crappy decision to make a player have to make.
Yeah, I have enough of those, giving up a victory point when you lose your command already.
Oh, yeah.
I don't need more.
Imagine putting them in a Dark Angels list where they're taking those rights where it's minus victory points giving victory points to the opponent if you don't do certain things, and then having a console that also gives up victory points.
Brutal.
Hello, I'm a Dark Angel player. I'm here to lose. But I hope this.
I got the best everything, but my rights says that I'm going to lose this game every time.
I'm just going to go play Quarantine.
No, that's fluffy. Even if you win as a Dark Angel player, you lose.
You still lose. Yeah.
Oh boy.
No, that was good. I definitely liked some of the ideas in that one. For sure. The other console type that we were talking about that you don't see very much of was that Dirty Dog Warmonger. So
I like this guy. I think
he's legit.
mobility is a massive boon in 30k, and giving options to a unit to deep strike is fantastic. Whether it's a unit of 20 Marines or 10 Terminators, just having that option to dump a unit behind lines is a fantastic 45 points well spent.
Agreed.
Because that's what the Warmonger does. Is any unit he can join deep strikes on I guess throughout the game, but he also gets an Iron Halo and
digital lasers.
And digital lasers.
Yeah.
So he's basically, if you look at him, he's basically just a dumbed down version of Abaddon. Because Abaddon, he's a Praetor level, but him and a unit of Terminators are allowed to deep strike. So now everyone has the ability to take like a little mini Abaddon.
I like that.
Yep. No, so it's a good. That's a good example for sure. I have used the Warmonger, and I've used it for some much needed mobility. Just kind of to echo what Alex was saying with my Iron Warriors. I've used them to deep strike Iron Circle down before. The biggest issue that I've ran into using this tactic is being within range of a Cortex controller. That's been a double-edged sword. So 9 times out of 10, if I'm running that, I do have usually Perturabo or a Warsmith somewhere close in the army, and kind of got to play the babysitting game. But aside from that, small negative, deep striking Iron Circle is always nice. So
I don't. He doesn't really fit into any of my armies at the moment. Well, mainly because I don't really have too much close combat units to get in super close with. Most of my armies are shooting, right? So, but yeah, like.
Does he have any negatives? I don't have Book 8 with me right now. I'm just trying to think of what would stop him from being used. No, he just gets Iron Halo, digital lasers, allows one unit to deep strike.
That's all he gets.
Yeah.
The unit.
Does he get a right of command or anything?
No.
Oh, okay,
no.
So he can't.
He's just a consul. Like, there's nothing.
Nothing fancy.
Okay.
No.
Because I'm just trying to think. Like, I mean, what comes to mind first? Obviously, Terminators are the biggest thing you deep strike, but breachers, taking like 20 breachers or something like that, and deep striking those.
Absolutely, and that's kind of what I was getting at. Is like you're just dumping a squad of 21 Marines on someone's flank or backyard.
Yeah,
is upsetting. Like it's like you got to deal with this now. Like fuck, God damn it.
Yeah.
Especially if they're troops and their objective secured. And back to the previous conversation. Now I'm objective secured. I'm in your backyard, and the way most heresy objectives or at least book missions are kind of built there is you do get bonuses for sitting on an enemy's objective in their deployment zone. So you're already in their deployment zone on a home field objective or close to one where you're threatening it constantly. And they're going to have to just dealing with 20 Marines with Fury of the Legion right in your back end is it's a tough prospect.
Yeah.
Let alone 10 cataphractic Terminators.
And it's not to mention too, like, okay, so like you said, you're sitting on an objective, but there's always that line breaker. Secondary, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't exist in 30k, but I get what you're saying, Andy. There are times where you need to be in their deployment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, similar to line breaker.
I think it goes along with the Mournival events type, tournaments that we're obviously been playing in more lately, whereas, Line Breaker is a secondary in those events where you do have the option to, like you get scoring points or you get more scoring points for scoring objective in the enemy's deployment zone and stuff like that. So it's like pseudo line breaker, I guess, for 30k.
But
like,
regardless, right? It's like you're saying, having that unit in the opponent's zone to mess them up.
Yeah, I like characters and rules that force you and your player to make decisions that are tactical, and this is the type of thing like, I'm gonna put something in your backyard, deal with it, right? That takes pressure off my front, takes pressure off the objectives I'm trying to catch in the front. The other thing too is like even like Cataphracti, with combi weapons with Meltas on them, right? Yep. Suddenly I'm dropping 10 Meltas in your back. I'm gonna pop your knight or your Spartan or your Rhino, and get maybe first blood or something like that, and then I've got I guess I can't because I probably have not deep striking till turn 2, but you know what I mean. Like I'm popping something, I'm doing damage, I'm causing you to pay attention to me, and then you got to come deal with me. So that's good decisions to make your opponent make consistently.
Oh, imagine Salamander players bringing fire drakes just in your backyard.
Yeah, no, that's not fun. Why 10 fire drakes show up in your deployment zone on turn 2? You're like, oh, fuck.
But you also got to think about it. So you got to think about that point Dan just made. I mean, how many points did you just save on to not taking a Spartan?
Yeah.
Right? And
yeah, exactly.
If the fire drakes are coming down, they're coming down. Don't come and play against my Ultramarines because you're not coming in until maybe later on. But saving that many points and using it for other stuff in the game, that's another bonus to him, right?
Yeah.
Again, if fire drakes come in at turn 2, 3, or 4, that's still upsetting. Like for me, for all my armies I play, the fire drakes are like I don't know what to do with them. I try and run away from them for the most part. So, 10 of them showing up in my backyard just scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, they're not a nice prospect to deal with for sure. They're dirty. I don't like them.
Can you? Oh no, you can't because you can't deep strike the Herald. It's like how can we pile a Herald into this conversation?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's that controversy that I've seen online of people are like, oh, if I take this unit and then I have a second character in that unit, can I deep strike him? I've seen this conversation 100 times, and it's always back and forth. No one really knows. Like, I know the rules kind of say that characters can't help other characters, but I don't really know myself.
Isn't it? I don't think we need to figure this out in the podcast, but I think it comes down to that, like units joining other units in deployment. That's the conversation, and that's a tough one because there's no real rules on that phase in 30k.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, if you could throw a Herald in with this, then you're like weapon skill 6, and your objective secured, and you're in your backyard. That's awesome.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
I was trying to think of another use for him. In orbital, the drop pod, right? You can't take certain units. You can't take units unless they can get into drop pods or deep strike. So if you have units that can't take a drop pod, or your Cryptus or your Dreadclaw is too expensive, you could potentially take this Warmonger and take him with a unit that you want to deep strike, that you don't want on the table, kind of thing. The first turn.
Yeah, I think you could definitely mitigate some of the right of war restrictions that way. Because the orbital assault, it basically says that if they can't get in a drop pod, they either have to deep strike or they can't be used at all. So if you don't want to spend 300 points on a Cryptus, or you don't own a Dreadclaw but you own a character model, and you're like, oh, I want to get these Terminators on the field, but it's expensive.
That could be a way to get them on, right?
Yeah.
Does the unit have to have the deep strike special rule for that?
If it can't go inside a transport that deep strikes, then it has to.
There is a restriction though because he has to be able to join the unit, so it has to be an infantry unit effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
And, you know, if you have drop pods and you take nuncio boxes, and then all of a sudden, you know, if you want to... Because he's coming on second turn onwards, right? He's not deep striking first turn.
No.
So, you know, you potentially have drop pods with guys with nuncio boxes, and you could potentially drop this Warmonger with a, you know, 10-man Terminator squad or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Next
Okay,
to
so that-
a
so
unit
that-
that already came on.
In that particular
That
right, Terminators gain deep strike.
Oh,
I
yeah, they
believe.
do. You're right, yes.
Right,
But, whatever, some
Yeah.
unit that you want on.
it kind of answers my question just there with that thought, Dan, was because he's not on first turn, right? He comes in second turn, or possibly second turn. You've attached him to the unit, so therefore giving that unit, you know, giving the unit the deep strike, right?
Yes.
Whereas, like, if you were, it's kind of like when you're deploying stuff. You know, if they deployed separately, then that unit wouldn't have deep strike. But if you deploy them together, they would. So I was kind of thinking, like, does that unit have to have that word in their profile?
Oh, like
no,
base, yeah.
Yeah.
No, but he does have to join them. You can't be like, oh, they're gonna start on the table, but my Warmonger is gonna deep strike. I think legally you can't do that because the way the wording is if they can't deep strike, then you can't take them. But
Yeah,
putting that
that's what
Warmonger
I mean.
into that
Yeah.
unit gives them the ability to
Yeah.
deep strike. So then you can play them.
Yeah,
It's the wording specifically joins the unit and allows them to.
Yes, yeah.
no, we're good there. Cool.
Just like drop pods. I like that they changed it when they updated drop pods. That they changed it so that it says if a unit gets into a drop pod, they have to start in the drop pod. Because there was a lot of times where I played Orbital's armies, and guys were just letting everything on the table and then bringing drop pods on after.
Yeah, empty
Just empty
drop
pods.
pods, yeah.
Yeah.
I think someone did that. That's in this
Sounds
channel.
like a James trick.
Yeah, but because you could game it out if you're like, oh, you need to hold this objective turn one at the beginning of turn one, right? And be like, okay,
Yeah.
this unit's going to get on, but drop pod's just going to come on later, whatever.
Yeah.
But that's not how the right should be played. Anyways, yeah, I'm getting carried away.
It's good.
No,
it's
it's good to
discussion
clear
is
things
what
up.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
So
I mean, like, I think he's just, you don't see him because people probably just don't see the utility in him, maybe?
Or maybe he just doesn't have anything else special about him.
Yeah. I mean,
Right.
digital lasers and Iron Halo is pretty good.
Like, I'm kind of in the background. I've ordered a few of the Just Aaron here just to kind of play around with. I have this idea for Sons of Horus, Just Aaron focused force, led by Abaddon, obviously. But if I couldn't lead, or if we're playing, Centurion or playing Mortival with no characters, this is actually a pretty good fit for that force.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking
Like,
myself.
I take the Praetor for sure, and I'd take this guy, and then I could deep strike 2 squads of Just Aaron without a right.
I would still play with Abaddon's model and be like, he's my Warmonger.
yeah, no
Yeah,
doubt.
exactly.
Yeah. Why not?
100%. Because in Mortival, my Praetor's getting the shield and the Cataphractor Primus armor.
Oh, you dirty
So,
dog.
yeah.
Nice.
The first company, yeah.
Yeah, he's like Abaddon, but better in every way.
Oh, that's awesome.
Sorry, just derailing the conversation.
No, well, hey, it's all worth food for thought. So I know. Moving along, we got into talking about underutilized units, and what kind of a unit or what units do we think are underutilized and underrated. And I know one unit that we kind of were talking about almost came up unanimously between Andy and I at the same time was the humble Recon squad. You see them in the book. I've never actually used them. I've never really played against them. I haven't seen them really in any army before, locally anyways.
Smells like Raven Guard stuff.
Well, it does for sure. I know, like, I've looked at it and I've kind of just glanced over, like, yeah, okay, like, for myself, okay, Iron Warriors, would it be cool to take some recon squads with Iron Fire? So I can, start letting bombardments drop and have the no scatter and stuff. Yeah, I think it would be pretty sweet. I personally would probably rather rely on having like a Dreadclaw or something drop in with infantry. But yeah, it's a squad that you don't really see much of, but they do have a purpose. They do have a place, and that's kind of what we want to talk about.
So
I
pretty
have-
much.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead. Dan.
I was gonna say I've used them in the past, and it's usually to be gamey.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
So my personal experience with them is so for Iron Hands, the head of the Gorgon allows any unit that is able to take a Rhino, they're allowed to take a Land Raider.
Yeah.
So I would take 5 of them, the 5 bare bone recon squad, and give them a Land Raider and outflank, or not. So sorry, I would scout it, or I would infiltrate it, a Land Raider. So
just to tack on there quick, I agree. Like I think the purpose of a recon squad is to get cheap Storm Eagles into your army.
that too, yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the only reason, because Proteus can take 3 last cannons,
Yes, it
3
can.
twin link last cannons.
I believe for
So-
225 all in.
Yeah. So you take your 100-point recon squad, and in Iron Hands, head of the Gorgon, they're infiltrating, scouting Land Raiders, and potentially getting side armors and being a nuisance. And
Yeah,
that's-
they also
that's where I
outflank,
use
right?
them. Well, the head of the Gorgon gives any tank outflank, but yeah, you potentially could do that with other armies too. I've also I've played one game of Raven Guard where I had scouts, and the funny story about this one is, so I literally took them because, like Alex said, it feels Raven Guardy, and that's the only reason I took them, was just to be Raven Guard scouts, and I had them sitting in an objective, and an Emperor's Children player we play with. What's funny is he was trying to assault them, to try and get to move his unit up, to try and he was just trying to charge them so that he could go up, kill them, get them off the objective, but he's also trying to use them to move his models up. And he goes to charge, and he rolls his dice. I was like, hold on a sec. And he's like, what are you talking about? Hold on a sec. I'm like, they have Shroud Bombs, which, if people don't know what Shroud Bombs are, if someone goes to charge you, they have to take a leadership test. And if they fail that leadership test, that charge is failed. And he goes, well, Fulgrim's fearless. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. It's just a leadership check. It's just a test. He's like, oh, whatever, I'll just roll it because, his leadership 10. Rolls it, fails it. That charge is negated. And I'm laughing at him because he's like, man, I was just trying to use them to try and get him, Fulgrim,
Extra
up the
movement.
board. Yeah. And he was just like, man, that's such a piss off. That 100-point unit just screwed everything up, because now Fulgrim's sitting out in the open, because he was hoping for the charge. It was like a 5-inch charge or something dumb. And he was just trying to get Fulgrim into cover where the scouts were. And I was just laughing at him. I'm like, no, and then Fulgrim and his unit got shot up the next turn. But the Shroud Bombs are probably their biggest, I think, thing.
Well, just in general, like, kind of looking at the price difference here between the Legion, like the the reconnaissance squads and the tactical squads, you're basically paying 50 points more to give them outflank. Do they get outflank naturally?
Yes.
Yeah.
So to give them outflank and Shroud Bombs, that's a pretty steep price for tacticals.
And not to forget, they actually get acute senses on
Yeah.
top of everything, right?
I actually, to be honest, I don't really play. I don't, like I said, I don't play legions very much, and my legions are like, my tacticals are like, here's my two choices. Let me get all the cool things instead. But these actually are pretty interesting because you don't buy yourself a rhino, and it allows you to outflank, so it kind of protects your tacticals for the first turn, and allows you to steal objectives, which is kind of cool, actually.
So
sorry, go Andy.
I was just gonna say with them, with all these abilities that they have, taking them just stock with the bolter obviously is an option, right? But if you start going into their actual options for upgrades, like they're one of the units that is able to take a sniper rifle in game now.
This is what starts to make them not worth it. Is starting to upgrade them.
So 5 points each. There's been many times where I would love to have these sniper rifles in my army, just due to the simple fact that I'm fighting against some big ass monstrous creature that I am having a hell of a time trying to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what weapons I'm firing at. Thanks, Alex. Alex is Mechanicum. I mean, there's some big bots in there, and sometimes they're really hard to deal with because they're so tough, right?
High toughness, yeah.
Even the demons have some high toughness. So, like, these guys being able to pretty much scout or infiltrate to where you want them, and having 10 of them with sniper rifles can definitely put some strain on those units, right? More than likely those units are going to have a decent save, but the numbers game, right?
Yep.
You just make them roll and eventually starts failing. So it'd be nice to, who knows, I might put them into the Ultramarines army or even the White Scars army. We'll have to see. I'd have to try them out. Interlocking tactics, I get to re-roll those ones, so could work out for me, right? They do have a lot of other equipment that they can take. Shotguns for free. Well, shotguns. Don't see them too often.
Isn't that a bizarre choice? Why does your stealth unit have shotguns?
It's because the 40K models came with shotguns.
Yeah,
and I think that's the only reason why.
Specifically, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so a model carrying never mind. That's just assault weapon. Like shotguns are kind of mediocre.
Yeah, I would love for them. I would love for them to be better than they are. Just they are kind of lackluster. Although, who knows? I know I sound like a broken record, but hopefully, on the horizon, there's some change, and we see some really good things start to come up with some of these units.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem I see with them, and probably the reason most people don't use them, is the price. Like Alex said, they're a little more expensive than tactical Marines, but the biggest part is, you want to take them with the sniper rifles and the Cameline cloaks, but a sniper rifle's 5 points each, and then a cloak is 5 points, so you're adding an extra 10 points
per model.
And the rifle, it's heavy one, right? So you can't move, you can't, obviously you're going to be infiltrating them or scouting them or whatever, but that one shot is only a sniper shot. It's strength 4 sniper, AP nothing, or AP 5 or something, but it's I don't think it's worth 5 points. That's the problem with the scouts, in my opinion. I mean, they're kind of cool. Every time I've ran them in power armor, and I've given them, and one bonus they can take is they all can take melta bombs. But other than that,
each, so another 50.
Yeah, other than that, it's too hard to spend 5 points on a cloak and a sniper rifle.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I think honestly, for the 175, you should get the cloak for free.
So I guess that goes to back. How would you fix these guys? Cloaks for free, built into their costs.
So Mournival, I guess you could say, fixed them because they made like the guns 2 points and they made the cloaks like 2 points.
Yeah.
So just reduced points on them.
Yeah, they just reduced the points, but yeah,
Makes it a little bit more manageable.
they're cool models. I think they've been around since the beginning. The scouts with the power armor and the cloaks,
Yeah, those guys have been around forever.
and they still look good for models that started out in the beginning. And there are always times where I'm sitting in bed at night and I'm thinking about like lists that I'm building. Man, I was like, man, I want to ever. There's times where I'm like, oh man, I want to do the Recon right, where it screws with deployments and your first turn you get shrouded and all this stuff. But I'm like, but you have to take 3 units of scouts, and they're already expensive, and taking 5 of them is a weak option for objective holding units. So,
And they are a support squad, so
yeah, well, in the Recon, right, they become troops, but
Yeah.
yeah, support squad's another factor.
but that's most units in troop section that really isn't what regular tactical marines and assault marines.
Hmm.
Everything else becomes pretty much support.
Yeah. Well, breachers
and
too.
except for
Breachers, but yeah,
breachers are really expensive. So,
yeah, that's the problem with them.
but,
But
well, it's one of those units that I think just it has that flair to them for just kind of aesthetics, right? For this is these are my snipers for my army. That's pretty much what that unit is, right? And it just goes along with the little blurb they even have here about their experienced space marines operating independently. So the rules that they've given them obviously show that kind of thing, right? And they have long range weaponry and auspex and stealth gear and stuff like that. They're just another flair to another unit with a little bit of different options and playability, right? So
the only sorry, Andy, the other option I could see with them is taking them with Recon armor and a Nuncio Vox to try and infiltrate up a Nuncio Vox for like Bill was saying with the Iron Fire, or you have deep striking units, helps with that Warmonger that's deep striking, right?
It's true.
So,
Even if
other than that, I don't see a use for them.
it'd be nice, even if you could, if they changed almost, I guess, how they interact with Blast, or if they gave you like a mess up the reserve, almost like a baby vigilator rule, where you can maybe do like a sabotage or a mining thing, something booby trap, right? Like something like that would make them, I think, a little bit more fun to play, and people might be more inclined.
Like in 40K, like the infiltrators that get the mines.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that, like being able to take mines and booby trap buildings and stuff.
That'd be cool. Or like even reduce cover save of an opponent's like piece of terrain on their side, right? Because it's been booby trapped or something like that. I think would be really cool as a mechanic, and very cool like to include on these forward operating marines. Like I think it would make them just like next level.
So you know what these guys remind me is like forward observers. Right? Snipers, they observe, they're screwing around with the enemy. The Nuncio Vox, they're giving coordinates to a target to get bombarded by barrage, that kind of thing, right? Would be pretty neat is if they had a marker like the mine thing, like you're saying.
I was just
a marker
gonna
that
say
they
this,
can
Andy.
put down. And Bill knows where I'm coming from with this because of bolt action, actually. But it's a marker that he can put down, and he could call in an airstrike or something like that, right?
Well, I was thinking something similar, but yeah, go ahead, Andy.
That's pretty much what I was doing. Like, there's a an airstrike which is very similar to a artillery barrage, but maybe instead of it's affecting one unit, it will affect that unit and possible couple units within a certain distance of that unit, right? Like a strafing run or something, right?
Yeah.
So make them worth the points that they're set at currently, maybe. So
There's what I was thinking. There's that new unit in the 9th book. Those little scout bikes.
yeah,
Oh, I
They
can't remember what
have-
they're called, but I know.
They have the ability to point out units, and I think it's an 18-inch range. But if the scouts had that, I think that would potentially make them better. Where they're able to. I can't remember what the rule is. I don't have book 9 in front of me. They point out a unit. Either the units shooting against that enemy unit, get +1 ballistic skill, or they get the reroll. I can't remember what it is exactly. But if scouts had that, would potentially make them better, like a pseudo cognoscignum kind of thing,
Yeah. Basically,
or like a minus.
Basically, like Tau marker lights.
Yeah,
They're just
marker light.
yeah, they're holding the marker light, and all incoming fire would be +1 ballistic skill. That'd be sick.
Yeah. You can even give special rules like, oh, missile weapons ignore cover, right? Because you're targeting something, or dudes shooting bolters get -1 to the cover save or whatever, right? Like, the imagination can go on and on of what they could do that'd make them good but not game breaking.
So Dan's starting up his own Morneville style book, and he's
No
ideas for new units.
No.
Yeah, it's called the Danaball book.
The Danaball.
Yeah.
I think we've said this a few times. If Forge World, if you're listening, or GW, whoever's writing the books now, I don't know.
I think it's G-Dub now.
Yeah. Fans are speaking.
Yeah.
You better be listening.
Yeah, hit us up. Let us know if you want more ideas. This is like the never-ending think tank.
If you want, I won't write for you, but I'll tell you exactly how to fix units or make them better.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Awesome.
But you know what's neat though is even with that idea, like you could play test stuff like that to throw into an event.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Just 1 or 2 units like that you can be like, okay, guys, try it out.
Yeah. Well, just to see.
Yeah, rather than trying to fix the whole book, just tweak, 1 or 2 units.
Yep, and it's
See how it works.
And as like I said before, it'd be really neat if GW Forge World would even come out with like a package of just a whack load of new characters, like new consuls and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like, Morneville kind of did different characters and stuff like that, but it'd be neat to see an official thing come out like that, where these characters would change the way the armies are a bit more, and being able to play slightly different or give different abilities. So
Just add more
just
flavor, right?
my 2 cents, right?
Some allspice in there.
Yeah,
Jesus.
some seasoning.
It's true. It's true.
I put that shit on everything.
That's right. That's right. No, that definitely some pretty killer ideas and good food for thought, I think. If you're still listening, you made it this long, let us know in the comments. What do you think about some of these ideas with these units? What do you think about some of the ideas to fix these units? Are there other units that you want us to talk about? Like, this is kind of going to be the first of an ongoing thing, because there are several units for us to continue talking about, more consoles, everything like that. But we wanted to start here, at least as a staging point, and then we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, if you have ideas, definitely, yeah, hit us up in the comments. Let us know, because we're always down to continue the engagement. There's been lots of it lately on social media, so we're pretty excited to continue that trend. And I guess just as we were wrapping up, much appreciated, Dan and Alex, for jumping on with us again and talking about all the good things. These are what makes the gaming group so strong and diverse, is because it's constant, just mulling over ideas and think tanking, brainstorming. So this is kind of what it's about for us. This is why we are the way we are. This is why we play the way we do. So
very nice.
And yeah, that's kind of about it for me. You guys have anything you want to add before we dip out?
No. I think I know I talked a lot, and my throat's getting sore. But no, I definitely bring me back on if you want to ever just listen to me ramble on about units. I'll definitely be there. So.
Of course. Well, awesome, guys. Well, yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.
Bye.
Peace.
Catch up to you.